Hey crew, good morning. How's it going? Excited to see you here. Hopefully you find this video, and I wanted to just share around, because I couldn't really find any great YouTube videos on it, around the breath and around how it helps us with our horses and how it actually has the component of the added benefit of being able to process and integrate emotion for us, particularly around the diaphragm. So yeah, this is an area that's really big for me in my work. I find that, if someone's not breathing properly, they have a tendency towards anxiety. There's a tendency for greater tension levels. Digestion tends to be poor, and just like their overall ability to handle life is actually like quite, yeah, like under, I guess you could say, or just like they're just not flourishing, thriving. So when we think of the breath, and this goes for people and horses. So if a horse has a really restricted diaphragm, or something has changed the function of the diaphragm, so there's not the range of motion, we still find, I find those horses tend to be highly anxious. They tend to hold a lot of tension. They don't do well in new situations. They stress out easily. They're just not, there's not as much bandwidth to play with those kind of horses. And so the breath is really, really critical. And there's some important things to know about how we can balance the breath, and places that we've already started working and will continue to work. So yeah, so I wanted to touch into that today because I couldn't really find a video that really got into this stuff in the way that I wanted to share it. So with the breath, what we have to think about is that when we're breathing deeply, and we're conscious of our breath, which is optimal, it's not going to happen all the time. Maybe we get, a few times a day where we're conscious of our breath, or we start to amplify that through our practice. This is my recommendation, is to really challenge yourself to drop into the breath as often as possible. And what I mean by that is to, we're always breathing, of course, because we'd die if we weren't breathing. So that's important. It's actually an autonomic function, meaning that it's automatic, which is great. But typically our automatic breath is quite high in the chest, it's quite shallow, it's actually in a lot of ways quite tension building. We don't build a lot of oxygenation in those breaths, because our awareness is not on them, and so we get this kind of like high, rapid breathing that doesn't really do us a lot of favors. So the consciousness comes in here, and the breath is one of the only functions we have in the body that we can actually control both, automatically as we keep breathing, and we can also bring our consciousness to the breath, meaning that I can kind of bring my witness to my breath, and then as the breath continues, I can bring this awareness in of, can I breathe deeper? Can I bring the breath deeper into the body? Can I bring it down into the pelvis? Can I bring it down into the feet? Can I fill the whole body? This is where visualization and things comes in really handy, because filling that whole body system with the breath, we start to actually really, really feel. And that's where, when we start doing the body scans and things, this is where that comes in really, really handy, is, oh, I can feel what's happening in my finger, and I can feel what's happening in my baby toe, and in all these places where we might not have had awareness. And so that breath and that consciousness around the breath, so bringing awareness to the breath, can happen in any moment. I'm driving my car, okay, bringing consciousness to my breath. I'm riding my horse. This is a really important space, bringing consciousness to my breath. The more we can do this with our horses, the more relaxed, supple, non-resistant our horses become as we bring consciousness to the breath during our riding practice. Whenever I'm around my horses, I really try to bring awareness and consciousness to the breath, and I take those moments when I feel the tension rising to bring myself back into awareness of my breath. Taking that moment, like, and then coming back to it. We're always going to be in a better space when we have awareness of our breath. So there's a couple reasons for that. One is because the breath is the body's emotional carburetor. I talk a little bit about this in my little section over whatever side it is on. But this sense of, this emotional pileup that can happen when we don't have a deep and conscious awareness of our breath and all this unintegrated stuff, and so often we're carrying not only from our day, but from our week and from our month and from our freaking lifetime, right? So we want to be always aware of what is wanting to process and move through the breath. Now, what we need to realize is that stuff, as we start to get conscious of our breath, stuff will come up that may not even be related to what you're doing at that moment. You might feel fear or anxiety or sadness that just wants to rise up because it's been stored away in your body for a really long time and it's ready to roll. You don't have to name it. You don't have to analyze it, figure it out. You just need to breathe into it. You just need to get it moving. Yeah? It's not wanting to be stored there anymore, so it's rising up and it's wanting to move. So bringing the consciousness to the breath, and when those moments happen where that emotion rises up and where we want to freeze up against it, want to resist it, I challenge you to just go with it, to just move it, let it release. I use like a great Lamaze breath, like use that out breath to let it go. That's going to be allowing of greater congruency with your horses. So meaning that the inside matches the out. You're not suppressing that emotion. You're not denying that emotion. You're letting it come up. You're letting it move. It doesn't need to come out and, be a big reaction towards your horse or someone in your life. Doesn't need to happen. You just need to breathe it. Just need to breathe it. Maybe need to journal a little. And then letting it go, okay? So emotional carburetor, really, really important role. The breath is also a scanner. So if you think of a Xerox machine, the breath, through the full breath, going back and forth over the body, the mind, the thoughts, all these processes that are happening and going, okay, anything we need to shift, anything we need to change, like what's going on? If we don't have a full breath, we don't do that. We get like the partial Xerox machine, right? We get very, very low read on what's actually happening in the body. And the body then doesn't have that really cool function of just healing us, of just like helping us out, right? So, and that can happen in every single breath. It's like awareness, yeah? So really, really important for our health and well-being, much less like freaking oxygenation. Like we need that shit, that like feeds our brain, feeds our body, feeds the functionality of our system, our energy levels, our ability to be clear and present, to our kids, to our horses, to our people, just to life in general. So oxygenation, super important. And that breath is what connects us to our feeling state in the present moment. It's like that's what creates joy in the present moment and the ability to experience our life. So, if we're not breathing, we tend to be disconnected to our body, disconnected from our experience, and kind of off and away. This is when we're planning our shopping list for later, or we're thinking about what happened yesterday, or, we're just like not here really. We're all over the place. So the breath kind of brings that hologram all back to the center to, just where we're at, and we find our presence there. So very, very important. When we are learning about breathing, we've done a lot of this already, but it's that challenge to bring the breath deep into the belly, right? Under the ribs here. You can even like place your hands. Look at my hands are like, place your, I have like deformed ribs, so they're different. Place your hands under there and even breathing consciously into there. This also is very helpful if you do it on your back, because then you can feel it more easily to start off with. Breathing down into the diaphragm, and then even imagining breathing down into the pelvis. So remembering we actually have 4 diaphragms. One is the pelvic floor, the pelvic diaphragm. We have our regular diaphragm under the ribs. We have one in the chest, and we actually have one in the head. So we're actually breathing 4 diaphragms whenever we breathe. And we're creating all this process and functionality whenever we breathe through the movement of those diaphragms and all the things that they do in the body. So it's this like constant domino effect, right? So, blah, 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 blah. Just throwing it at you. The moral of this story is to breathe and to bring conscious awareness to your breath as much as possible. I probably do so like 10 to 15 times a day. Yeah. So that's the thing, right? And bringing that in, even though if it only lasts for a couple of breaths, doesn't matter. It's the practice that counts. Bring yourself back to the present moment. This is going to be, the absolute key to even things like posture, where the shoulders are sitting, tension levels in the neck and shoulders in the back. All these things, every time we breathe, the spine moves, everything moves, and it allows spaciousness within our body. And you better believe when you get in the saddle, you're going to notice a change in your horse when that spaciousness is created. Big time. They're going to be relaxed. They're going to be more with you. You're going to be more connected to them because you can actually feel what the frick's happening in your body. You can actually feel, oh, I'm holding tension here, or this is happening, or I'm feeling this, or I'm having anger arising, or I'm frustrated, or whatever it is, right? So you can actually feel that and connect to the experience. And that is incredibly important to our horses. That's where they live. So when we're looking at connection, we need to kind of go to where they are, right? And go, what does that feel like? And how can I be there? Yeah. So there we go. Your little lesson for today, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Breathe lots. Deep, full breaths. Breathing right into your feet, right into your pelvis, right into your spine. Enjoying it. Enjoying this crazy hot, sunny weather. And I will see some of you for the retreat next weekend. And we'll go more into this. Woohoo! Happy breathing. Okay. Bye.